we'll start seeing people in the chat. What do you guys want to start with first? I know, like, the one thing I remember you saying, Jared, was you wanted to say, like, remind everyone we were right about Syria, because now we're coming up on like a little over a year since like all the liberals were doing the like, oh, two things can be true. Like, it can be bad if the U.S. and Israel have a lot of control in Syria, but that doesn't mean that like Assad is good. Like, remember getting called an Assadist like all last December?
Yeah,
Right, I think
turns
we're
out
actually
two
live,
things.
so.
Two things actually, two completely contradictory things actually can't be true. So, good job, liberals, fucking idiots. Like, yeah. But,
So welcome everyone. This is the News Current Events live stream. We got myself, Mike. We got Jared. We got Sterling from the Old Turn Leftist podcast. Welcome back, bro. Good to see you.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Of course, we got Joseph from Marxist Analysis Newsletter. So yeah, pick up where you left off, Jared. Sorry, that'll be our intro.
Hell yeah. We so yeah, we were right. I don't know what else to say. We were fucking right. Like, I want to gloat.
Was better.
Like, yeah, I want to gloat, but it's not worth gloating about because it's actually really sad, and it was inevitable. So the new government, which is just ISIS, they've destroyed Rojava. Rojava's gone. So Epic-based anarchists, cool anarchists that liberals were creating themselves over. Yeah. The CIA funded anarchists, they're gone because they're no longer useful. So Turkey and ISIS too, who are running Syria, get rid of them. And that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've released all these prisoners because Rojava were like guarding a lot of ISIS prisoners. They're all just been let out. So ISIS-1 is just chilling. They're all out. And they've, of course, massacred a few thousand Alawites in the last 12 months as well. So
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Fuck you, Assad. No, just kidding.
Could have been avoided.
Really
and
cool.
The one thing we could ask is people would learn, like, at least learn from this, since that was a year ago, and then hopefully apply that same lesson to the Iran situation right now and don't support regime change, whether it's from Trump or Biden or whoever. Like, it's not good if the U.S. does a regime change in a Middle Eastern country. Not to get too far off topic and get into Iran already, but, like, did you have something else about Syria, Joseph, or any of the YPG? Because, like, the Kurds are the real victim here. Like, the YPG, all the like, TrueAnon was also talking about on their most recent episode, like, those militias that Brace Belden went over and fought with, they're fucking gone. Like, they're not getting any U.S. support now. They're just, like, left in the lurch. They're just out to hang.
Yeah. I just recently attended a critical theory workshop lecture, and I had spoken with the guy leading it about the Middle East and, like, any potential, like, good things that are happening over there. And he was like, yeah, the Middle East is basically hopeless. Syria, especially, given, like, the fact that all these different ethnic groups are just, like, getting, like, tumbled together, and U.S. imperialism's like main goal is to just destabilize everything and then come in and pick up the scraps, and to crystallize a comprador class, a comprador state in every single one of these places. They're succeeding. Imperialism is winning over there.
Yeah.
And using Islamic extremism as a vehicle for it, really. Like tweaking little things here and there, like sowing discord here and there. It's just it's so fucked, man.
Yeah. Shout out to
we can't even say that, like, they have had a comprador class for long enough. Like, they're still in the process of building it, not like in Africa or in Latin America or whatever. It's so messed up.
Shout out to Theo Machia in the Instagram chat. He's the one who made that meme with the dancing liberals, protesting with the dance protests. Yeah, it's a sad situation. Could have been avoided, and it's just. Sorry, I had another point I don't want to make. It's just like, again, like, we should be learning this lesson. But sorry, what were you going to say, Jared?
I'm just saying, what's left now? Okay, so you have Iran and parts of Yemen and the West Bank, and I guess southern Lebanon, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But Hezbollah's been crushed, basically. Like, Hezbollah's not doing great.
Their last leader was taken out a while back, right? Like, not too long ago.
Yeah, their main leader.
Yep.
I forget his name, but he was very important. They've been crushed, basically. Hezbollah doesn't have the capabilities that it had before. Hamas is basically destroyed in Palestine. So like Palestinian resistance in Gaza is gone. Like that's the genocide was successful.
Mm.
Like there's no other way to put it than the genocide was successful. The West Bank is all that's left, and if you keep up to track on what's happening in occupied Palestine, the West Bank is the violence in the West Bank is increasing every day. Soon there will just be like full on warfare and genocide happening in the West Bank, probably within the next 12 months or so.
Mm.
And then you just have Yemen and Iran, and that's about it.
I mean,
And
it seemed a
Iran's
little.
constantly under pressure, and Yemen's in a civil war, and the Houthis only occupy like a third of the country. The other two, I don't. How much of the country do the Houthis occupy? I forget, but there's like other bits of the country that are occupied by Saudi puppets and Qatari puppets. So it's looking pretty grim.
I was gonna say, I thought it was a little doomer sounding in the Discord the other day when you were saying that like the U.S. and the Empire have pretty much conquered the Middle East. Like they're controlling all the effective spots, and if they take Iran or do a regime change in Iran, then that's like the final domino to fall. It's kind of like the Middle East only hope in the anti-imperialist sense, but it makes me wonder if like that's why China is trying to shift more toward like North Africa, the Middle East that like is a little more to the east, I guess, like the parts of like basically the parts that are around Afghanistan that are contentious for like the resource and the what do you call it, like the transmission lines, like oil pipelines and all that stuff, like the Belt and Road Initiative stuff. I wonder if that's like what they're already seeing, and they saw that this was kind of a foregone conclusion, which is why it looks like China and Russia are just not putting up the fight that we would all like them to, because they just see it as something they can't really defend against. But also, just on a side note, like Sterling, when I talked to you earlier today and you said you were going to come on, I was like so excited. I'm like, there's so many things I want to ask Sterling that have happened in like the last 3 or 4 years, like since we last did any of this. It's like the only thing I could really think of that I can remember now is like, how right were we when we called it that China was just going to keep getting better and better, and the US is going to keep getting worse, and everybody should try to fucking leave and get to China if they want to. Like, we were just like, we were so right the entire time, and we just keep getting proven more and more right, as tankies do every day. But it's a side note.
The burden of being right.
Yes, no, the weight is immense. All jokes aside, I was actually chatting with Jaron yesterday or today, and which is one of my favorite human beings ever. Anyone who remembers the OG Turn Leftist podcast, Jaron was one of the hosts. We were chatting and talking about and I know this is going to sound like conceited. It truly is not meant that way, and I'm sure most people who have been on the left for a long time can understand, especially if you live somewhere where I live, which is in the South in Georgia in the United States. There's not a lot of leftists around me. And we were talking about like the more you learn, the more educated you get, the more you see these things repeat themselves over and over again, the more you become intellectually isolated. And it's actually really depressing.
Yes.
We were talking about how we missed the old days for the simple fact we at least had other people who have put in some effort to understand history and current politics to where you could talk on a normal level. Because when I talk to normal politically minded people, it's outrageous. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they told me, they're like, you just have this habit of talking over and you don't let me finish my sentence. I was like, that's because what I'm saying is worth more than what you're saying. And I don't mean that offensively, but if you can comprehend the truth in that statement, you'd be listening.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I was a liberal so goddamn bad. It's so easy. But to your point, like that last year, we were literally, because that was around like when they kicked Assad out, right?
I mean, 2024, I think, is December 2024 is when they got
maybe
rid
he
of
was
Assad.
about, it must have been a little before. I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
I think there was something else going on
was.
around then that like we were worried about Syria for sure.
I remember us talking about like how no one necessarily loved Assad. He wasn't like our guy, but everyone was like, Assad is literally so based compared to what you're gonna get after Assad. And that's my problem with Iran. It's like, we put the Shah in place. I don't know if anyone remembers that. Like who installed that back in the day, but God, I love to see a revolution. It makes me excited seeing people in the streets, but it's just like,
Not a color revolution.
are you guys gonna be the one that are choosing, or are we going back to the fucking purple thumb votes in Iraq, bro? Like, what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching this latest round of protests, and I was like, people were talking up, speaking up, being like, "Oh, this is great. The Iranians are rising up," and I was just like, "Hey, so like, it's cool if the Iranian people decide to do stuff. That's really cool. The problem is that you have the US government officials and Israeli government officials literally standing in front of cameras and openly saying, "Yeah, we've got the Mossad out there. Like we started these." Like they said it. They just said it in front of the cameras. They were like, "We have agents and provocateurs." There were guys in like military style outfits with like black body armor, weapons, drones, things like that, who were agitating the Iranian security forces. Like they were trying to provoke the security forces into firing back by shooting at the security forces, because a bunch of Iranian security forces also got killed. Not as many as like non-security forces. It's just, these are just facts. Like, and they just said that that's what they were doing, and people were still thinking that the Iranian protests were legit. And you know what? Maybe they were legit at the start, and a lot of the people involved have legitimate grievances, and obviously they would. Like economically, the country's fucked because of sanctions. But like once you have like Mossad officials being like, "Yeah, we're doing that. Come on, like."
Mm-hmm.
Come on, use your fucking brain, please.
Yeah.
Like,
we also had like
begging you.
Nepal in the meantime. Like since Syria and now before Iran, we also had Nepal, which was a total color revolution. And we were saying that at the time. And then everybody was like, "Oh, come on, you guys are just like speaking over Nepalese voices. You guys are just like cynical. You think everything is the CIA." And then they install the guy. They have an election in fucking Discord. And he's a total US puppet. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like we called this a mile away. Like we saw the whole thing happening. We saw it all developing. I'm going to address the chat real quick. Let's see. Positronic Soulsborne says that WoW shit is tough, or WoW shirt is tough, I guess.
No, it's not WoW. That's Warcraft 3, baby. That's 2 OG
shit.
for you. That's 2 OG.
Hell yeah, man.
Frozen Throne, baby.
And then Theo Machia, shout out again, says Russia and China's only hope of fighting back against American imperialism is fully taking advantage of growing American political crisis and fracture and fomenting a breakdown of social order, which again seems like it's just going to happen on its own. Like it's always so funny to me how many things people blame on Russia and China and disinformation and bots or whatever, and it's just Americans. It's just Americans doing it to themselves, tearing each other apart because they have a dysfunctional, shitty culture filled with racists, and just like it's almost like when you start a country built on land theft and genocide, and then have a constitution written by slave owners and rapists, it's not going to turn out well for everybody a couple hundred years later.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of people like Americans I've seen who are saying like the Constitution has something in here about ICE agents. Okay, the Constitution has your fucking piece of paper doesn't matter. Your fucking toilet paper doesn't fucking matter, dude. Like they're just gonna kill you anyway. Do you think do you think the Constitution matters? Do you think that fucking matters? Like.
And
unless you're
It's literally
racist,
just there.
it doesn't matter.
It's just there to like pretend, you know? It's all completely pretend.
Yeah, I was talking to a conservative the other day about the Constitution, and he's like, so because obviously it's crazy, like the Minnesota thing, we're getting a whole new party switch. We get to do the fucking party switch again. So now the conservatives are anti-Second Amendment, and it was a liberal I was talking to that was like arguing like, oh, so now they're anti-Second Amendment, and I'm starting to get it, and I'm like, I just wish both of you could realize that it's not even a fucking right. Like that's not what the Constitution does. It doesn't give you rights. It gives you restrictions. I don't need a Constitution to go down the store and buy a fucking pack of Pokemon cards. I can just do that. I'm a fucking human. There's no regulation stopping me. Although, with the secondhand market, maybe there should be. That's another discussion. Scalpers get crazy.
How's your channel going? You see your channel going?
Nah, I'm too fucking lazy, bro.
Okay.
But
Second Amendment is for protecting your right to shoot Pokemon card scalpers. That's what
it's like I don't need a fucking document to tell me that I can have guns. That's what the guns are for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, Americans they have this like fantasy in their head that they are these like heroic gun-toting individualists, but all they do is customize their character, right, to have as many guns as possible, and then they shoot children in schools. That's it.
Yeah,
and the
pretty much.
kids get to shoot each other in the schools. That's all that happens.
Oof.
That's all we use them for.
Like if your government actually thought gun ownership was ever a threat to their hegemony and power, you wouldn't have a Second Amendment.
Yeah, they would take them
Like it
away.
just wouldn't. You wouldn't have it.
Again, the solution is really just to move to a civilized country like China or any other socialist country that has actual democracy, so that you don't have to like LARP with a bunch of toys, like grown men toys that you're never going to use against the government. You're only going to use them against like other citizens in your own class, which is really shitty. I want to see if it'll let me share a screen here. We might have too many people.
And
Let's see.
LARPing is way fucking cooler than what they do, so please don't conflate the two.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really
Yeah,
I can barely share this
the amount
screen.
of people-
I have way more respect for LARPers.
Yeah, the amount of people who are like posting stuff that's like, "Oh, look, I'm holding a nasty angle for when the ICE agents knock on my door." I'm like, you're a fucking loser. You're such a loser. No, you're not. If ICE come to your door, you'll be like, "Oh, please don't arrest me." Like, you're not gonna shoot at federal agents. Like,
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, people ask me and they're like, "Well, what did you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I know what I would do." I don't think I can say that in public, but I'm a really nice guy. But would I go down like that? Oh my God, yes. I don't even care if it changes anything, bro. A fascist? Are you crazy?
I wish, there's not really a whole lot of people out there who are doing anything. It's like, I don't know, a lot of people out there really think they're going to be the guy who's going to like, no, I'm not like dissing you, Sterling. I'm just saying there's a lot of LARPers out there, like people who think they're going to do that and who are just not doing anything. I have this screenshot pulled up that I kind of wanted to read through. But unless
that's why they're out there though, is because they're not being sincere. I don't go out to protest because I don't trust my ass. Because you put me in a protest with a gun, and I might fuck around and do something. Allegedly in Minecraft. But
this is all NSPN7
I don't go because
compliant.
I don't trust myself. They go because they do trust themselves.
The thing
and
I pulled
I'm
up
not
here.
putting down protesters. Whatever, protesting in liberal democracy. I've got my own opinions on that. What flavor do you fucking want?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about more domestic stuff? Because I was going to start bringing up Venezuela again while we're still on the regime changes. Because I have this screenshot from Alan McLeod here. It's a screenshot from CNN, and the paragraph reads, "It remains to be seen how the Venezuelan people will respond to a more overt CIA presence in the country post-Maduro. For years, Maduro cast the CIA as a convenient boogeyman, repeatedly accusing the agency without evidence of attempting to topple his regime as he clung to power despite U.S. opposition." Next sentence. "Now the CIA has helped supplant Maduro and is poised to help actively manage the Trump administration's dealings with Venezuela's new leadership." So the little two sentences right next to each other was Maduro was paranoid, had no evidence that the CIA was trying to overthrow him, and he constantly said it. And then the next sentence is the CIA did help overthrow him, literally did help Trump get rid of him, and is now going to have a big active role in Venezuela's new governance. And like when we last streamed, I had said like, the tankies being right all the time doesn't mean that the U.S. can't kidnap kidnap like a legally elected president of a socialist country. It doesn't mean that they can that they can't like pull off regime change operations or do more imperialism, or that all the imperial like military bases are just going to fold up tomorrow or in the next decade even. Like that's not how it works. It just means that over time the empire is going to spiral out of control, become more decadent and like vicious sometimes, and it's like lashing out. But that doesn't mean that it's going to result in a more stable or beneficial system for the beneficiaries of imperialism. It doesn't mean that like you're going to get a more stable country at home. They're not going to be able to take control of Venezuela and have it be like their imperial project where they just get all the returns and there's no resistance whatsoever. Like, also touching on like the Palestine thing, like I agree with what you were saying, had said earlier, Jared, that like they have pretty much completed the genocide in Gaza, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be able to go through with the project of real estate development in Gaza, because there are still like thousands of Hamas tunnels right underneath that very like that acreage, like all that land. And if they try to, like, they may even be able to get some like structures built, but like they're going to be dealing with constant attacks and kidnappings and like all kinds of like literal terrorist shit with the the people who originally occupied that land and the militias that still exist there. And like, I don't think these two things are unrelated. Is that like the U.S. can beat its chest and they can like tout all these accomplishments that they have, and since they have their fingers in so many pies right now, like they're literally trying to do everything everywhere all at once, but that doesn't actually spell like success in my eyes. Like that just looks like kind of a dying dog lashing out.
It looks
Yeah,
like they're
I can
gonna
see that.
They're going to do the settlement thing, but with Gaza.
Yeah,
As they rebuild it.
And it's
quote,
exactly
unquote,
the same
rebuild it.
because it's the threat of extreme violence. And that's the same thing. You know, I personally believe, and maybe I'm just reaching here, I think Maduro will get sent back to Venezuela, but that's after spending a lot of time with our Langley boys. And no offense, but I don't know if Maduro is going to show up the same Maduro. But the thing is, like when you look at Venezuela, it was more of a threat against everyone else who was watching. I think like America hadn't made a big play in a long time, and they needed to show the world, like, bro, don't forget we are that guy. Like we do this shit for real. Like, bro, I'm not trying to like glaze the US, but that was wild. I had literally the day before just told someone like, do you know how many millions of fucking people that Venezuela just armed? US don't fucking want it, baby. 15 minutes in and out. Never seen anything like it in my goddamn life.
It was wild,
like, I'm like, oh my God, bro. What the fuck just
It was
happened?
very disappointing.
Yeah, but they just showed him like, bro, anytime you can get it. And that's the same thing with Palestine. Like, yeah, they're gonna come up with a new treaty and they're gonna get to keep a lot of land, but under very strict regulations because there's the threat of extreme violence. Like we can pop this off at any moment. Same thing in Minneapolis, like you're executing fucking people in the goddamn street. Like any moment, anyone can get it anywhere on the planet.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know if the stand down order that was clearly given to Venezuelan soldiers was because the rest of the government or Delcy were complicit, or because they were like, we have to stand down or they're just going to kill hundreds of thousands of us. If we shoot down a single Black Hawk, they're going to use that to justify a full scale military invasion. Just let them take Maduro. Trump can get his scalp. Like, and be like, look, I've got the big bad evil man. Look at me, because Trump's brain does operate on that level.
Yeah, that makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, him being like, look, I got the bad guy. Because it's like, imagine if he had to back down and get rid of all the Navy ships from around Venezuela. Like, he'd look like a pussy. So he has to do something. So what's he going to do? To grab some guy and be like, look, I did something. Yay. Aren't I great? Because obviously a full-scale military invasion would be a fucking disaster. But like, you know, the Venezuelans would do anything they can to avoid that.
Yeah,
I would love if Trump pissed his pants live on TV. That would be so funny.
It will.
Have you guys seen?
Apparently, he's dying.
People think. Yeah, they've been saying that for like since 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the whole China thing. Like I don't believe any of that. But have you guys seen the Squidbillies?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let me explain. Okay, you should, first of all. I mean, besides like so some of the drama behind Unknown Instance pretty fucked. But there's one of the episodes is the main character, his boss keeps trying to talk him into driving an 18-wheeler from the United States to Europe. And he's like, I mean, there's an ocean, and he's like, yeah, they say it can't be done, and it's like he's just like this country guy, so it's like anytime they say it can't be done, he's got to go prove them wrong, so he just keeps driving it into the ocean and almost dying, and then he comes back, and they're like, you know, I really think you should give it another shot. They do say it can't be done. Like, shit, they say that. I say that because when I think of President Trump, I think of this so often, like just generals and other like just influential people in the room with him, just like, you know, they say like nobody can go get fucking Maduro out of Venezuela, and he's just like, oh, they say it can't be done, and like I feel like 90% of his policies just go.
Oh my God!
I'm just gonna do it.
We used to have a guy on the construction site that was like, he was not like the brightest guy, and they would actually do that. They'd be like, you know, I bet you can't carry 3 of those sheets of plywood up the stairs at one time, and he would try it. Like...
Oh, that's so mean.
Partajano Johnny in the chat says 100% Panama, Venezuela, and Greenland are all the same refocus on Western hegemony or Western hemisphere as they're kicked out of Asia and Africa. For sure, part of the decline. Although it doesn't mean, I mean, they may be getting kicked out of Asia and Africa, but it's like they're just refocusing. Like, and there have been people predicting that. Like, another funny thing to do is if you go back and read, oddly enough, the CIA releases these like every 10 or 15 years or something, these like reports about geopolitics and where they see things going. And I remember reading the one in like 2008 or something, and they were saying like, oh, basically the US is going to decline in power and China and Russia are going to take more of that power. They were just describing multipolarity. And I was like, at the time, I was like still kind of an American nationalist. I was like, I wasn't planning on trying to leave the country. I still believed in like, I was a lib. I voted for like, I didn't vote for Obama, but I liked Obama because I just was lazy. I missed the election. Like, but like, I would have, and I was like that kind of a liberal, and I like believed in the American project enough to be like, oh, maybe we should like reform this and get some healthcare, and like we could actually make this we could make America great again, but like the liberal version. And like, now I just don't believe that. But like, I remember thinking, like, being horrified at the prospect of China and Russia like taking over more of the world stage because I thought that they were just these authoritarian dictatorships, and I was scared of them. And now like, I'm just less racist, and I think that that's really good because the U.S. is the fascist project. Like that should happen.
And no, I will glaze China at any moment that I can.
Go ahead.
In regards to the USA leaving Asia, I was like thinking to myself when you were saying that, I was like, I don't know, because they still have their like comprador regimes in like South Korea and Japan.
Japan, yeah.
But then I thought about
even,
how like
Vietnam
recently
is not that great. Like,
no, but then I thought about how like Vietnam's kind of had to do a lot of stuff because their country got like completely destroyed by a US invasion, so they had to like they kind of have to play ball a little bit to be allowed to not be like sanctioned to shit. But like Japan and South Korea, I remember recently how there's like a lot more public will in both of those countries to kick Americans out and kick the US bases out because US soldiers keep committing sex crimes against the locals. So I'm like, well, this is very, very, very early stages of sort of waking up to the fact that their countries are occupied by a foreign power. But yeah, like they can't.
That is true.
Japan and South Korea will probably eventually want America out completely. Just like the imperialist bloc is kind of breaking up. Like Europe and the USA, their relationship has been irreparably damaged by this whole Greenland bullshit. And as time goes on, as more US soldiers keep doing US soldier shit in Japan and South Korea, that's going to break their relationship down as well. Because realistically, do you think Japan and South Korea, do they want to be friends? Who do they want to be friends with? The country that's right next to them? Or some cunts on the other side of the world who like, you know what I mean? It's
who don't even have like a similar kind of culture. Like,
no, it's like obviously they want to be friends with the countries right next to them. Like everyone in South Korea wants Korean unification. Everyone in the DPRK also wants Korean unification. The only force stopping that was always the USA. So, you know, and I'm sure Japan would be friends with China if they were allowed to.
I don't know about that one.
Well, their government, but their leaders are
little
just
history there.
No, I know, but
they tried to get real close.
Might take some time.
Yeah, well, but their political class are just American compradors. Obviously, it would involve a change of their political class. I think the average Japanese person doesn't dislike the Chinese, because when I speak to the average Chinese person, because I know a fair few who live in Australia, when I speak to them, they don't really have any ill will towards the regular Japanese people, even over, you know, all the historical stuff that's gone on there.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just that the Japanese ruling class are a bunch of fascists, and they're backed by the USA. If Japan was allowed to if Japan was allowed to operate without an American puppet government, they would probably choose to be a lot more friendly with the governments, with the countries in their immediate area, you know?
more friendly, sure, because right now it's
Mm.
zero friendly. So yes,
Yeah.
it would steer slightly that way. But Japanese people are very nationalistic. I mean, their media that they grow up on is incredibly propagandized. I mean, they like uphold a lot of World War II and even previous dynasty generals at very high regards. Like, we grew up on a lot of like, the A Team and those kind of shows that are
Mhm.
basically just military propaganda. Japan is like the second country with the most of that.
Oof.
So
Right.
they all
Mm.
grow up with a lot of that kind of media, a lot of books. I don't know if you're an Attack on Titan fan. I fucking love Attack on Titan. You don't want to know what that shit is based off of. Because it's all, I mean, the show is literally, if you actually break it down, it's literally just Japanese nihilism and nationalism. The whole thing is about Japan got picked on so much that they finally ended the world. And from a Japanese national perspective, it's kind of the right thing to do. Fuck everyone
Yeah,
except for Japan.
isn't like Aaron
That is
Yeager or
Attack.
whatever? He becomes like a genocidal freak,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
I don't know much about the show.
that's the Japanese national perspective, is like they've been pushed around so much that wouldn't it be great if we just deleted everyone else and we got to stay, because I mean, even while they were in China, post World War II, because obviously, do you like Japan was exporting so many people out of Japan to different countries to start like occupying those spaces because you need a presence there before you actually attempt a real occupation. So it was a big thing to export people to live in other countries. And so, like in China after World War II, they ghettoized it. They put the Japanese
Mhm.
people in certain sectors and wanted to kind of keep them out. Because Japan could not take all those people back. They they were trying to recover from what just happened. There was no way. There were too many people outside of the country. So being a Japanese person living in China after that would have been a very bad experience, and it would have been something that Japanese people were very aware of. And bro, the story, like the guy did not write Attack on Titan. He just changed the names of Japanese
So,
nationalist view of history.
yikes.
I guess I haven't been around that many Japanese people here in Australia. I've been around, there's a lot more Chinese people here that are actually from China who I've spoken to. But like the one time I've had Japanese people around, it's like we had these two kids who they were here for a judo thing and they didn't speak a word of English. So we couldn't have much of a conversation. But they were very polite and they bowed at me a lot. And I was like, that's cool. I like and they gave me a gift. It was like some ornate chopsticks. So I was like, all right, maybe these guys are all right. I don't know.
Wow, he's so tall.
Yeah.
Some people, the chat's also popping off again. So Theo Machia says, I don't think South Korea is even slightly inclined for reunification. Their anti-communist programming has gone so deep for like 3 generations by now. Sad
Mhm.
Hello Kitty Core says,
The
yeah,
older
they've been having.
generation, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard
I
to
mean, the
tell.
older
Like,
generation is much more in favor, but yes, the newer generation that's kind of grown up on the Kardashians and shit like that, and
oof.
they've kind of now exported their own version of reality TV and culture, and they are very intertwined in it.
Damn. Sad Hello Kitty Core says, yeah, they've been having pretty strong anti-immigrant protests lately, which I didn't know about. I didn't know that was going on there. That's a shame.
Yeah,
Not surprising.
Big Boy Wiser says, I lived in Japan for a year and a half, and I can say for sure there is a lot of racism towards Chinese and other Asian states, not to mention darker skinned people. Not surprising.
Yeah.
Parjano Johnny
Okinawans.
says they're going to lose their Western backing as the West declines over time, though. I don't know how much they'll course correct, but they will lose. Yeah.
they have too much infrastructure and technology, man. They're gonna be fine, even if the U.S. like failed. They've been dying to rebuild their military for so long. Like Japan
Japan's
is one
still
of
the third largest economy in the world. Like,
yeah, they're going to be
yeah.
one of the few that honestly the fall of the US is barely going to scratch them.
Yeah. I mean,
And
they
then,
like. I feel like with Japan, they are.
They get
You know,
territory
well-
back from Russia when they stop doing it. Remember, like Russia still to this day is holding all that territory, just saying stop fucking with the US and you can have it. So
oh, yeah.
they come out
Yeah.
on top.
Damn,
Yeah,
I didn't even
I
think
think-
about that.
I think with Japan, they definitely are like this. I mean, they're another kind of Israel you know, like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
weird settler colonial monster of an empire.
Yeah.
And they're just biding their time, building up more and more of a military, aren't they?
I mean,
Yeah.
Sterling, when you said that thing, because in the chat, sad Hello Kitty Core says, "Yeah, Attack on Titan is fashy as fuck." And when you were describing like that whole just delete everyone around us, that just sounds like the Hannibal Directive, like that thing that like
Yeah.
that Israel will do if it feels like
Yeah.
it is threatened existentially as a
And
state.
you
They
don't
will just
and you
nuke
don't
the rest
wanna
of the world.
you
Like,
don't wanna know how much Israeli, sentiment and propaganda and, imagery is tied into Attack on Titan too. If there's 2 places it draws from the most is, uh, Imperial Japan and Israel and, Jewish people during
but that's
World
like
War
why
II.
I've been saying for like the last couple of years, the job of the anti-imperialist countries is to put the US in hospice, is to like let it die slowly and peacefully in a way where it doesn't lash out and destroy the whole world in like a nuclear war, because Israel as the small like microcosm of the US is like the concentrated version. It's like the fucking it's like the soda syrup. It's like, yeah, we literally are just saying in policy form we will nuke the whole world. Whereas the US, everybody just kind of assumes that. Everyone just assumes that if you were to invade the US, they would just start nuking people left and right until they feel like they're on top again. But like Israel just comes out and fucking says it, which is wild. But like that just tells everyone, the rest of the civilized world, we have to like let these people die. We have to like slowly encircle them economically. We have to like rip out the chains little by little, do whatever we can to dismantle it peacefully so that they don't lash out in some kind of way that, you know, they don't recognize that they're being undermined and destroyed. And like I can only think of a hospice. Hospice is literally the only analogy I can think of. Just like giving somebody the morphine drip and letting them just go nice and peacefully and just feel happy about doing it. Like that's the only thing you could do.
Like, okay, Grandpa, you know, that
Yeah,
kind of
dude.
thing.
Another crazy
Yeah,
thing about I was just gonna say about Japanese history. I don't know if you know about like native because obviously people did not. There's actually not a spawn point on Japan for human beings. So people came from another location. There were people on at least the north half of Japan before what we call Japanese people today showed up. So basically, yeah, like the native people from like Serbia and that side of Russia, because they have native people that are actually very much related to Native Americans, a lot of similar facial features and stuff like that. The whole northern half of Japan, that was what the native population looks like, which they have almost entirely genocided uh,
is
from
that the
that
Ainu?
period. Exactly, it's the Ainu people,
Yeah.
and so from the south side, they come while there was actually ice bridges. That's how they got to Japan, but they got there quicker because there was no ice bridge from Japan to Korea. But then the Koreans finally invent boats, and that's how the Koreans get to the south side of Japan. They become the Japanese people we know today. They come into conflict. The Ainu people, much like the Native Americans where we are, made room for them. And then here come the dynasties and the samurais, and they keep pushing them back, pushing them back. There is some people still in Osaka, the northern side of Japan, that are still part of that population, but it it's so hard. Like their culture has been so suppressed that there's actually a big movement now trying to bring it back and make it okay to even say you're that. Because for a long time, like apparently you couldn't even really say it without just people looking down on you. You were just kind of treated as a second class citizen. So it is interesting that Japan's history really is so similar to the US's in more ways than people realize.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Hmm.
I'm trying to
And after World War II, America made absolutely sure that it would stay that way by rebuilding the country in its own image, basically. Same with
Yep.
Europe. They rebuilt Europe in its own image as well. Made Europe, even reinforced the worst kinds of racism that Europeans already had. Did the same thing in Japan. Reinforced, like apparently the USA writes the textbooks for a lot of places, like the Philippines. Like they write the school textbooks for the Philippines, which is just still a US colony, basically. They have a lot of hand in like writing school curriculums for Japan and for a lot of European countries as well. So they're making sure that everyone stays racist.
I'm looking through the list of topics that we have. I forgot like this whole funny discussion. Like Jared, you had said Vietnam was on the board of peace with the crying emojis. I had forgotten about that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And then we had that whole discussion about like English people and how you were saying how they have the audacity to act like they own you when they come and talk to you in Australia or whatever. I thought that was
Yeah,
very
that was
funny.
pretty funny. Yeah. They did that to me. I used to live in England. I lived there for like a year, and British people would come up to me and be like, they'd be like,
Based.
they would be like, "We own you. We own you. You're our colony.
With their fucked up
God
teeth.
save the Queen." And I'd be like, "Go back to your fucking sad, wet island, you freak!" like, come on. You're no
I'm gonna go to my
shit. Your
dry
empire's-
island.
Yeah, your empire's done. It's done. It's over. It's over, folks. That's my
Yeah,
best
the
friend.
idea of
When
like
he's-
acting all high and mighty when they don't even have their empire anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's like, but they still think like that. And Americans will be the same as your empire slowly collapses. The average American will still believe in it. Which is
It's like
why you
it's like the Romans. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of Romans thought like, oh, of course Rome is still around. The emperor is still doing his thing. Meanwhile, there's like schisms between
Yeah.
like 3 different fucking warlords. You know, it's
Yeah.
the same thing.
yeah.
Did you guys want to
Yeah.
let's briefly touch on, I'll see if I can share it here. I don't know if it'll, again, it might just be too small to even tell, but I did make this meme, and it's like when you can like you can make a meme as if you were posting on 4chan. You don't actually have to post on 4chan. You could just use a meme
Oh.
generator, and it says BG US tries to coup you. Find out 2 hours before. Arrest 3,000 officers and their families. Torture them for info. And it's just got the Chad Xi Jinping picture because again, I don't believe that that's really what happened. That he's like torturing their families and everything for info. But like the headline is: Did Xi Jinping foil a coup attempt 2 hours before it happened? Arrests allegedly reached thousands. Xi Jinping's early action against alleged coup plot triggers mass arrests of military personnel. A massive shakeup not seen since 1971 under Mao Zedong. Like, could they make him sound better? Could they make him sound more based? Like,
Like, he's just so badass.
it's so good. We have this there's also this like video section here where this guy on Instagram, he was like, there's like this whole section of Instagram people who like explain geopolitical events, but like in just a lot of slang or vernacular. It's really funny.
While we were all trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with TikTok yesterday, the US was staging a coup in China. Girl, Xi Jinping found out 2 hours prior the coup was going to take place, and he arrested 3,000 of his officials, including top military personnel and their families. Girl, girl, that coup was not successful, and now China is torturing these 3,000 people for information. Girl, rumor has it that the U.S. tried to stage this coup so that they could get the back end to Iran. Girl, shit is about to get interesting now.
This is just that's just every conversation I have with my wife. Basically, we're just like, bitch, did you hear about this? That's so awesome.
So yeah, I don't know how much of that I believe, but I definitely
Yeah, I
believe
don't
that the US was up to it. I don't know how much I believe about China being this like dystopian hellhole where they gotta imprison entire families, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Like,
It's probably
think
just
you-
internal. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say definitively whether or not the United States wasn't involved or not, but I think that the fact that it was like, you know, it was a general and like other people involved in that kind of circle, right, in the military, and they were trying to have like a lot of liberals look at that and say like, oh my God, well, the military should have like autonomy from the rest of the government, right? Like that's how the division of powers works, or right, or the checks and balances, or whatever the fuck you want to say. But I think that it very well could have been just discontent with how the Chinese government is operating and not being aggressive enough you know, in certain ways in their foreign policy. Like the fact that China is so dedicated to maintaining peace, like pretty much no matter wherever they are. And the United States and like the CIA could have, you know, tried to tweak a little bit there and try to nudge them forward a little bit. But that's entirely conjecture on my part.
Yeah. There's no info about this from any like Chinese sources. Sad Hello Kitty Core in the chat says, I haven't found any reliable information about it except for the baddie in the bonnet. LMAO. Like there's like no there's no sources about this. Like so
that could be even more of an indication that it's some sort of CIA or like state propaganda bullshit. Is that there's just no fucking source for it.
Why would they want to like why would they want to advertise it if they failed? Like, I feel like we would definitely, it obviously would have been more mainstream news if they had succeeded. Like, could you imagine if they pulled off a fucking regime change in China? Like, that would actually, I would be literally in tears. I would actually be very distraught if, like, the premier socialist project that exists right now were overturned in a regime change operation by the US. That would actually be really fucking catastrophic. I wouldn't abandon Marxism. I wouldn't say that, like, communism is not inevitable. I'm just saying it would probably take another extra 200 years in addition to what it's already going to fucking take for like multipolarity and dismantling of the US empire. It just would really suck.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I'll say this. I'm not over there. I don't know enough people that would be close enough. And I think that the short is we don't have a way, if we wanted to really be honest and try to get down to like this specific topic, this specific event, we don't really have a way to find out whether or not it's true or not. I don't think that's really what's important here. I think what's important here is understanding how the media comes to this conclusion, because they wrote this article and they put it out there and it's going to get shared all over the place. And the goal of this article is not to support or condemn the US's actions there. It's to show the overwhelming reaction from China, to make China look like a reactionary country, because as Americans, that's how we view everything. It's action and reaction. That's actually not how China even works. But
also to make China look weak, because it's like, oh, we almost cooed them. So
yeah.
I don't think America has the capability to coup China. I just don't.
I hope not, man. I hope not.
And I think what is important here, the most important part of this is, how do they confirm if this information is right or not? So they have a journalist who like puts this together, and then he goes to his boss and says, how do I check this? How do I make sure that I'm at least in the ballpark of reality? These are some things I've heard from XYZ source, which I can't cite here. I'm really just kind of giving a lot of opinions. And do you know how they do that? They have CIA installed handlers. That is exactly how these news articles confirm it. They don't go to China. They don't call up locals in China. They call fucking Langley, and Langley says, let me run it through the system. I'm going to get back to you. And Langley comes back and goes, bro, you're not going to believe this. You're on top of your shit. This is exactly what fucking happened. God damn, where did you get this from?
Yeah.
You boys are doing good work. Anyway, here's an extra $20,000.
Give this man a true.
That's like actually how it works.
Yeah.
Well, the New York Times and the Washington Post both knew about the Venezuela operation before it happened, and they not to release it. So, and they chose not to release it because it would quote unquote compromise the operation. I was like, oh my god, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Gabriel Rockhill talks so much about how the CIA is in like every, they like you said, they have in Sterling, they have a handler in every media outlet, you know, because the state is just dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. The media is just another arm of the government or the state. So it's all they have fucking fingers everywhere, you know. They've got everything tapped.
Operation Mockingbird is the most successful operation in U.S. history, and you think we stopped?
More people need to know about it. Like, I can't believe the amount of people who've just never heard of that, and then if you even show it to them, they're just like, "Oh well, okay," but like they just still like believe.
What do you mean, okay?
You know, I think actually, you know, this Mockingbird thing doesn't sound too real. You know what is real though? Israel, the Jews definitely did it. I think that's way more plausible.
People will unironically say Russian propaganda or Russian bot, and then you show them Operation Mockingbird, and they act like they're getting real information from the New York Times or CNN. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Speaking of like current events, like domestically though, did you guys want to touch on like the Minneapolis thing? Like the only comment I had made recently in the Discord was, how did I phrase it? Because what did I say? It was like, boy, if you think that it's actually bad when like ICE agents just kill civilians with impunity and then there's no accountability whatsoever, when the person did maybe nothing at all for little to no reason, boy, do I have some news about how the regular cops always operated. like
Yeah.
outraged about this. Like,
Yeah. I can't believe
Yeah,
ICE is so evil. Yeah, ICE is the most evil thing in the world. Anyway, time to vote for Greg Stoker, former child
no.
murderer from former
Oh my God.
guy who went to Afghanistan to do what ICE does, but 100 times worse to
Joseph.
children.
Don't even get me fucking started, man.
I was gonna say we should play some of your videos because you have been on a tear against vets lately, and I'm here for it. I've obviously accepted all the collabs. I'm right there here for it. So, but like, if you want to go off, we can play your video, or you could just like go off on a tangent. If you
Dude,
want.
let me just go off for a second because because I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills. When I bring up the fact that like no, actually, U.S. war veterans are worse than the IDF. They're worse than the Nazis because those empires failed. This empire is still going, and it is massive. 900 military bases all over the world, 100-something naval vessels active at any given moment, and destroying the environment by doing this. Right? People who join the U.S. military are fucking criminals. They are war criminals. They are mass murderers, and there are so many people. I get comments about it like every single day. I put out that Substack Greg Stoker article. I still get comments on it every day saying like, this is very moralistic. This is very idealistic. This is very not material analysis. If you want to have the narrowest tent possible, if you want to have any sort of movement, like I get so many fucking smug comments. I'm sorry. I'm just like, it just floors me, right? I see red. I see like I have blind rage. But I get people saying that kind of shit where they're like, yeah, this is you're not being forgiving enough. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Do you think the Afghans and the families of these Afghans and Iraqis and Koreans who had their families murdered by U.S. war veterans, do you think they're going to forgive them? Do you think they would look and see those? It's the meme, right? The Middle Eastern people seeing the plane going overhead and with the dropping the bombs, they're like, you know what? They had to have free college, so I understand. You're right. You know, it makes them bombing us so much better.
They say the next one will be dropped by a woman.
Yes, and yes, they say to the next president is going to be a woman, and it's going to be fine.
Greg Stoker is so funny as well because like
fuck him.
I as soon as I found out about him and I saw him post or I saw him be a guest on like some show, I was like, why are we listening to this cunt? Like
yes.
As soon as he opens his mouth, he's just like, yeah, so I worked in major OPSEC operations, I operated. I was in the U.S. Army Corps of Ranger operators, and I would go into tactical kinetic operations against the threats. And I was like, why are you talking? You're just talking to a guy who's clearly a CIA asset. Like he's like clearly, he's still like. Not only was he an American soldier, he was a American soldier in like the Rangers, and he worked in secret. He was doing secret stuff as well. Like he was, and he was talking about how he like still is friends with the people he served with. He's still friends with them apparently, and I'm like, he clearly still has links to the American security state. He's probably a literal. Regardless of the
he's
fact
literally
that
a honeypot.
Murderer. Yeah. Like not only is he a fucking murderer, a murderer of children, he's also clearly still got links to intelligence. This is the most obvious thing I have ever seen in my life. And Americans are still like, Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, sir. Please represent the left. Like, shut up.
Dude,
Fuck
and
me,
the
man.
fact that his like campaign is veterans first. Like, this guy says, like, you know what? He talks about how he talks about Palestine, right? It's so performative because he talks about the IDF and the occupation forces in Palestine and everything, and then he goes and says, you know what? Veterans need better healthcare. Veterans need more rights. We need to make sure that we give back to those who have served our country. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I think they're like the only ones who get quote unquote socialism under capitalism because they get the free
Yeah.
healthcare and free college. Like they're the ones who are actually doing. Like I understand the VA is underfunded. I don't know if I care
Good.
that much. Let me check the
Good.
chat. 'Cause
Underfund it more. Remove
Theo
more funding
Machia
from the
says,
VA.
there's so much fucking veneration for U.S. vets. I wish I could send more suicide wishes without getting put on a list. Like imagine the mental wiring leading a person to join the U.S. military and not see evil. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how like
I'll
how
play
much
devil-
Kool-Aid you'd have to drink.
I'll play devil's
Dude.
advocate. I'll have some fun with this one. Okay, so I'll say this. I hold a certain amount of empathy for anyone who decides to go risk their life to do something that they think is important to. And I think a lot of people that go into the American military, because I think human beings as a people, we have kind of a natural desire to want to do something for our community and those around us and the people we care for. Like a lot of us are willing to die for causes that we think are good. And I think so many people do enter the US military for very good reasons. And I think that they get over there and the system that you're put through to be trained to be in the military, you do shoot first. Whether or not you're a good person or a bad person, the way you're trained, you are turned into a machine. Even if your conscience has not been perfectly adjusted, your body and your reaction time has. So there are so many people that are still good people that get over there that don't quite understand it, that by the time they realize what they're doing, they just put down an Afghan family. And that's why they come back and they're just broken people. And they just don't know how. And a lot of them just, swallow a shotgun when they come back. But
Good.
some of them,
Yeah.
so some of them also they come back and in that action they've now realigned good and bad is what America says is good. So what they have done has to be good. So they come back just bloodthirsty. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put down. I definitely get your point, and I definitely agree with the comparison there, because we have done far greater evil to the world just mathematically. Like you actually do not want to run those numbers if you think Joseph is wrong. Like he's mathematically just correct. It's not even an opinion. But that does not mean that I think that everyone who had that calling is just evil out of the gate. And I think it's terrible. Sometimes you do make a decision and then you have created evil. You have done evil with your hands. And what do you do with your life after that? I'm glad I've never had to wrestle with that.
I think it's the difference between whether or not you did one tour or you served the minimum amount of time, or whether you just kept going back. I think that's usually my there's a difference between one person going for one tour and then being like, this is really fucked up, and then coming back and being like, I'm never going in the military again, this is evil, blah blah blah, everything about this is evil. Then you have people like Greg Stoker and Plattner who go back like 8 times. Like they do. Greg Stoker did 4 tours of Afghanistan, and
You really couldn't get enough of that shit.
yeah,
Exactly.
Plattner did. Plattner also
Doesn't that
did
mean
4
8
tours
years?
as
Isn't
well.
a tour 2 years? Like
Something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's insane. Yeah.
Parmesan Johnny in
I
the
think-
chat, he said, I've seen people asking you, Joseph, for proof, all caps, that a 4 tour Afghan vet did any murdering. It's like, bro.
Yes, exactly. No, I get so many people asking me like, what's your source on that actually? Source, actually, you're not providing any sources for your claims. So there's no way
That's
that Greg Stoker has
crazy.
murdered children or mass murdered anybody
That's crazy.
or killed
He was in
Afghans.
the Rangers. He was in the child murdering unit. He was in the he was in the guys who go.
He
in the
got
Black
the
Hawk
award.
helicopters.
You know, with the kid
Yeah.
that's split in two.
Oh.
Yes. Like he showed, there's a video of him showing off one of his badges that he got like from his like buddies, right? And it's like a skull and crossbones.
Oh no.
It's basically a totem conf, but like
special,
special
forces,
slightly different.
Special forces like the Rangers and the fucking Navy SEAls. The
Green
Rangers are like
Berets,
the
like all of them.
Army's like elite guys. They're the ones that do most of the violence. Is like the operators. They send those guys in. So if someone, it's different if someone's like, I was a US Army soldier. They didn't necessarily actually go into combat at all during their entire tour. But a fucking operator, like a guy who's in the Rangers, has been on Black Hawk helicopters. He's been dropped into villages in Afghanistan, and he has personally killed unarmed civilians. Every single one of them.
Get some.
Just watch like Sicario 2 and watch how those guys in special forces operate when they go and kidnap that guy in like Africa. And it's like they literally have a cheat code. Like they're wearing the night vision goggles. They have lasers on their weapons that point exactly where the bullet's going to go, so they know where it's going to hit. The people that they're attacking can't see in the dark like they can. They don't have infrared vision. They don't have all this X-ray shit. And like
It's
they
pay to
literally-
win like a motherfucker.
it's ridiculous. Like
Yeah, I think that to address the argument that that like, you know,
real
perhaps
quick, Joseph, to get you going, Sad Hello Kitty Core also said they think soldiers have revolutionary potential when soldiers are actually contradictory to that. Yeah.
Yes,
They show all the
exactly.
time. Like one of the best examples, and Sterling, you will remember this motherfucker because we recorded with him back in the day, was the gluten daddy asshole. And you called it. Like you literally said he's a fascist. He was like that. He was arguing about I think it was like still arguing about Aaron Bushnell or something, or it might have been something different entirely. But like he just had like a real lib take, and he had
Lib fascism.
but like you
Yeah.
you were
6'7".
even more mean to him than I was, and you were like, that kid's just like an out and out fascist. Like he's just a closet fascist, and like I'm crazy. I'm like you were pissed at me that I couldn't see it because I was still like trying to. I was like, but he's got a big following. Maybe he can like throw us some follows, and maybe he's got some good things to say. And then like 3 months ago,
Fuentes has a big following.
well, yeah. But like this guy's supposedly on the left, but a couple months ago he when the Grand Platinum shit was going down, because it's exactly the same issue, just a bigger scale. Because Grand Platinum is more
we
popular.
watched like the fucking, what was his name, Jason Hinkle or Jackson Hinkle, whatever the fuck his name
yeah.
was. Like we watched so much of that shit unfold in real time. Like
Mhm.
I think this was happening around that same time, and I had just seen the playbook too many times in a
Yeah.
row, and he just fell right in line with that whole. What did they call it? It
The
became
Pat Socks.
yeah, Pat Socks, exactly. And then
I mean,
became,
so
like,
now they have
MAGA
the
communists.
ACP, like they literally are one of the biggest quote
Oh,
unquote
the
communist
ACP
parties.
is them. I've seen some
Yeah.
posts, and it's bad because they throw some decent posts in there too,
know,
and
man.
I'm like, okay, based, and then they'll post something, and I'm like, little reactionary. We chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing with the ACP, and I'll touch on that, and then I'll get back to the veteran thing, because the ACP, they generally have pretty good like international geopolitics stuff.
Mhm.
Like they support China, they they recognize actually existing socialist countries most of the time, and it's like, okay, cool, you get the geopolitics stuff, the economics or whatever, and then they turn around and they cannot apply any like critical lens to the United States at all, and they think like, oh yeah, no, these people are they're just victims of circumstance, all the settlers here who have grown up here and profited off of the genocide of people in the global south. Like,
I forgot you started reading
they didn't
Settlers.
know. What's that?
I forgot you started reading Settlers.
Oh, dude, I finished it. It was such a good book.
Yeah.
Settlers by Jay Sakai. I highly recommend it. It is forever. It has changed the way that I view Americans, and specifically like Euro Americans, like white
Mhm.
people, to put it more clearly and succinctly. Of course, there are some people that are going to be like, oh, well, you're just using identity politics and whatever. And I'm like, well, when you look at America, you can't
America,
really
go.
separate. when you look at America, you cannot separate race from class in many contexts. Of course, you have exceptions to the rule. You know, you have Obama becomes a president, becomes a war criminal, Nobel Prize, whatever. But then you have nearly every single white person being like, okay, well, you know, war happens. It's fine that the natives are all genocided. You know, this is our land now. And like workers, like white proletariat, quote unquote, workers who are in the imperial core who are like, yeah, we need communism. And they don't realize the gravity of like how much they benefit from imperialism and how once that's gone, they have to fucking figure out how do we like reconcile with people who we have historically destroyed and genocided and decimated. You know what I mean? It's just there's so many contradictions.
Land
to
back
put it
never
lightly.
factors into it either. And if you ask them about like land back, they get very uncomfortable and they end up basically just saying white pitching to you the reservation system. No, they'll pitch to you the reservation system as quote unquote autonomous regions for indigenous people. It's like that's you're just talking about reservations. It's like
it's like Israeli communists, right? It's like, oh well, no, there are actually some good Israelis. Some of them are actually you know, some of them want the two-state solution with Palestine, and it's like, what the fuck?
No, I'm saying like the Israeli left and the American left are the exact same thing because they're both
colonial
projects that are just fine with the imperialism.
I think the reason they cannot, like, you know, groups like this that can see communism, they can have like actual good takes abroad, but they have issue at home, is because America is very different from most countries. And that's because America truly, and there's other countries that do not have a left. Obviously, I think that's fucking socialism 101 is that America doesn't have a left, but it's so much deeper than people think. It really is that we don't even have what Americans call a left. Like even just watching like this Minneapolis shit, like none of the Democrats are doing a goddamn thing because they're not a real party. Like the whole idea of liberal democracy is to keep you from voting for a left. It's the illusion of a vote because both parties are the fucking same. Like this whole thing about the American empire will fall. I'll be honest, I think the American empire has fallen a couple times in our life already. Do you think that the country today is the same as it was before Trump? It's a different country. It's because people don't understand that our government under liberal democracy is so fucking pointless to the American empire. It's not funny because it is the landlords of this country. It is the ruling class. It's the Raytheons, the JP Morgans, the
BlackRock.
Those are the actual ones in charge. If we dissolved the government tomorrow, do you think much changes? Yeah, we'd get a little bit more community focus for a period of time. There'd be some good times, some bad times, and maybe we would build a better government, but it would inevitably end up exactly where it is today. Because it's like with the land back thing. When people say land back, they don't mean fucking the dude down your street has to give his home up to a Native American. That's ludicrous. Like they're not saying kick people on the street. It's not that guy's fault what happened in the past. They're saying
they're projecting,
do
right?
fucking something for them. You have billionaires that hold 95% of the wealth of this country. Do that thing. Just do that thing and break them off a piece. Like there's so many ways you can solve this that does not involve a redneck losing his house. You know what I mean? Like that's what they think, because they think so one-dimensional.
Because they kicked the Native Americans off of their land. That's what they think.
Exactly. So they think that's the only way to do it back. It's not. Just help get them out of poverty. Hell, you could almost. A lot of them already have their communities on the reservation and would just like it to not be a fucking ghetto. Like some of them wouldn't even relocate because they have established families and communities. The only reason I'm not in China right now is because I have established families and communities.
Exactly.
You kidding me? You think I want to be in this ghetto? We don't actually. The idea of liberal democracy, it's not democracy. Democracy is if the majority of us feel one way, then we do that. We all think we should have universal health care. Why is neither party even offering that up? They just have a couple of them say some pretty words every now and then. It's because we don't. Liberal democracy is literally not democracy.
Well, they're
Yep.
saving that one for you guys. That's been my theory. Is they're saving free healthcare for when things get real bad. in the
I
US.
would have
They're
I
gonna-
would have agreed, but how
Yeah.
many times, Mike, did I say that the abortion thing was the subscription plan to the Democratic Party?
Oh
that
yeah,
they,
I remember you
that they
saying
would
that.
that they would never revoke because that's how they keep liberals, and then they took it away under Biden. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
That was actually, man, I didn't even think about that. Like, I had forgotten until you just said that, but you did say that like several times on the old show. You were like, yeah, the abortion thing is like what Democrats like used to be like gay marriage, like sooner or later we'll give you that, sooner, and then they did. So then they had to like linger the abortion thing. That, hey, you got to keep voting for us, or else abortion will be gone. And then under Biden, like we should have had you on then. That was like, that's a trip, man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. You know, because like what's keeping them now? What is keeping people in the Democratic Party now? Like, is it just
no? They're building it right now. They're creating the new one because they don't want to give you Roe v. Wade back. So they're creating the new one in Minneapolis. Vote for us.
true.
We won't blow your brains out in the street.
Clearly.
That's now the lesser evil.
Speaking of which,
is
you
I
sent
won't
me this
stick
video.
a gun in your mouth.
You sent me this like right before we got on here, but I'm gonna play
Yeah.
this real quick because it's so good.
It's
Knock
so
it
good.
off. Guys, you're being really bad right now. Knock it off. Stop it. Seriously, stop it right now. We're gonna do something. We won't, but stop it. Stop. I'm serious. Stop. You're being so bad. No, like, for real, stop it. You're being so bad right now. No, but keep it up, really. God, stop it.
That's Democrats to Republicans right now. So
Yeah.
in case you couldn't
Yeah,
tell.
what they're
The-
gonna
the-
do to
That's
get,
the most
we're gonna be
accurate
like,
take
guys,
of all of this.
yeah, they're gonna be like, hey guys, we're gonna go back to making ice raids be done at like midnight, so it's all out of sight and out of your mind. You don't have to feel bad about it. Like, the only reason this has happened, like the only reason Americans give a shit about ICE is because Trump, in his infinite wisdom, has decided to make ICE operate during like visibly during the day, and it's in people's faces. That's the only difference. Like Obama and Biden did it when they did ICE raids and they would kidnap people off the streets. They do it at nighttime, like at midnight. No one saw it happen except the victims, and the victims were brown people. So white Americans don't give a shit. They just take them, put them in concentration camps. No one saw the camps. But Trump is like, I'm going to build a concentration camp surrounded by alligators, or I'm going to throw them out a plane over the ocean. And also, we're going to do raids during the day. Why are we going to do raids during the day? Because we want to be visible. There's no reason other than like it's a show for him, right? So the thing that Democrats are going to run on is we'll put the violence, the state violence will happen behind the scenes. There'll still just be just as much state violence, but it'll be behind the scenes, and white liberals won't have to see it anymore, and you can go back to brunch. That's going to be their pitch.
I mean, who actually thinks Democrats are going to abolish ICE if they get back in power? No one thinks that. Like, literally, no one thinks that's even going to happen. That's even on the table.
They
And-
lost Roe v.
dude,
Wade.
let me fucking tell you, I had a conversation with a lib friend, quote unquote, friend of mine. Fuck you, Mark. But I had this conversation with him, and he was like, "Man, we just need to abolish ICE. We can vote. It was so quaint. You know what I mean? Like it was such a quaint kind
if
of
they'd
like
open up the ballots right now, I'd do it right here, right now.
like, dude, I part of me wishes, like Sterling, you said, I wish I could be a liberal in some way so that I could just be so stupidly ignorant of what's happening and just live in bliss, you know, and say, oh my God, Trump evil. What are we going to do? We better vote. Oh, I have solidarity with white people. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I will say that we are all owed a little lib. And I say that because I would probably blow my brains out if it wasn't for the fact that sometimes I let myself enjoy a moment. And there have been a few moments during this where I have just, it does feel good to see people get out that are mad. And it has been nice to be able to post something that my friends agree with. You know what I mean? It's been a minute, and so
Forming that very tiny little bit of like camaraderie over like, some guy got
the
killed.
diagram just slightly touches itself right there, and so I enjoy that sliver as much as I can before I let myself actually realize the reality of the situation. And it really comes down to, because people are saying the difference between a civil war and a revolution. Bro, this is fucking neither. A civil war still has an objective. Nobody out there is protesting with, here's what we're going to do. We're going to win this battle, and then here's the second battle. They're literally just out there like, can you please stop shooting me in the fucking face? And while I think that's an important thing, that's not an end game, bro.
It's not enough.
People actually
it's
saying that this is going to turn into a civil war, because that's the most delusional thing I've ever heard. Do they actually think that? Are there people who
dude,
actually think this
I
is
saw
a
somebody
civil
say
war?
that. I saw somebody say that like they thought it was going to turn they're going to turn America into a civil war, or like we're seeing the beginning of a revolution here, guys. Like if I had a nickel for every time I heard some shit like that, where they thought that American Revolution was gonna really happen, guys, American Socialist Revolution. No, no, it's not going to happen. Fascism is going to keep doing its thing, and people are going to keep dying, and white people are still going to not care.
Yeah.
The one time you did have a civil war wasn't for based reasons. It was just because these guys were like, no, we're keeping our slaves. Like, that's why the civil war happens. Like,
I got some opinions on that. Most
the one civil war we did have was started because people wanted to hold on to their slaves. So there were like, I don't. Where's this left that's going to start a civil war?
The Civil War, obviously, slavery was the main thing, and I'm not trying to be one of those guys. I'm just saying. But so I live in the South. I'm a Southern guy. You see Old Glory all over the fucking place down here. I am not a romanticized, but I will say that one of the big things that causes confusion between the two perspectives is that your average person who was in the why am I drawing a blank on the fucking name? I was gonna say conservative.
Oh, the Confederacy, like
your average Confederate soldier did believe that they were going to fight a foreign invader that was coming into their land to do harm and take from them. Do you know how many regular people had slaves in South? Fucking none of them. They were closer to a slave than the people who actually owned the plantations. So to them, they weren't defending it because they didn't fucking have slaves. Like, damn near 100% of the men who held a rifle held 0 slaves. So while the actual war was 100% fought over slavery, the people that picked up the guns in the South were mostly lied to. So that's the only point of contention I have on that specific.
That actually
But
tracks. I mean,
aspirationally, they would have all wanted to have slaves, though. That was the goal.
Yeah.
That was the goal of being.
I don't know about all of them. We have some good people in the South, but yeah, I certainly get your point.
Well, definitely.
I don't think there's good people in America at all. I don't know.
Listen, you come down here, I'm gonna take you to some barbecue joints. We go get you some fucking bro.
Unironically, if I ever visited the States, I would only go to the South because I heard the food's real good. That's
the food's great.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Jared is invited to the cookout.
Partigiano Johnny in the chat says they're against, quote, Trump's ICE, just like Netanyahu's war. That's a very apt comparison. It's exactly the same thing. Like, they literally think all this stuff is just evil because the wrong guy is in charge right now. He's particularly evil. He's the new Hitler. And then he's also just as bad as Putin and Xi. You always have to lump in the Russian and Chinese guys, even though they have nothing to do with the imperialism that you're talking about, that you're opposing.
Yeah, it's like everyone's like, oh, if it was Obama, we'd still be out on the street. Well, Obama probably would not be basically sending his private military into blue cities demanding their ballot list. Like, it doesn't. That's the whole reason this shit started. Why would he do that? If he did it in reverse and he was sending, like where I live, like sending. Well, actually, I think we even voted blue in that case. But like Florida, if Obama sent people down to Florida to collect the ballots and it erupted into, a couple of people got shot, do you think Democrats would really be getting in the streets the way they are now? Like, it is actually identity politics. Yeah. It is as much as it's the same thing. Like I told people when the Capitol riots happened, I was not the guy who was like, oh, this is an insurrection, blah, blah, blah. I was like, why not me? Why not us? I was so jealous. It was the hardest shit ever. I was like, they fucking did one good thing. If only they're doing the same thing Minneapolis did, which is they didn't have the plan for after they got there.
Yeah.
And so it was like, why would I condemn people for getting together and taking up arms against a tyrannical government? Like, bro, I'm giving them their flowers for that. So do I think that the fucking Dems would have done that shit if the roles were reversed? Absolutely not. They would have done the same thing that happened in the Capitol riots. It's their side, so it's bad. And that's crazy. It should not be left versus right. It's literally them versus us. And that's why a civil war will never happen, because that's what a civil war is. It is them versus us. It's either territory or it's economic. And when you're talking about a country that is so mixed, liberal and Republican, every single neighborhood in this country has both party members in it. How in the fuck do you think a civil war happens? It'd just be it'd be over in a day. Everyone would just be fucking dead. Like,
Sterling,
that's not,
did you see?
not
Are
how
you
it
familiar
works.
with I am Buddha Wang, the guy who's in China, and he talks about like geopolitics and American
That
politics a
dude
lot?
is so goddamn
He's
based.
so funny, dude. And like he
love
said
him.
the other day, he was like, you know, Americans are not ready for a revolution. Only like 10% of Americans really want it. But here's your business plan for how you start to support a revolution. He's like, you got to gather resources. So what you have to do now is start making lists of all the people who have American flags in front of their houses. Those are the people who are going to have all the food and guns that you're going to need when shit goes down. He was like telling Americans this. I'm like, you're going to get like the CIA visiting
Bro.
you in China, bro.
Bro.
Like, they're going to come after you.
That's what I always tell people. I'm like, if shit pops off, big if, like, you know, 0.000 infinite, if shit popped off, immediately the first thing that's going to happen is the idea of liberal and conservative is dissolved. That no longer exists. It's going to be your fucking community. People are getting shot, and you're going to look at your neighbor, even if you guys voted differently, and you're going to say, holy shit, you watch, I watch. You know, we got each other's back. You're going to talk to your family. You're going to build. It's going to look very anarchist, you know, syndicalist in the beginning.
Unfortunately.
As you build these little syndicalist projects, and your local sheriffs are going to be brought in as kind of the militia, and it's going to build out that way. It's not going to be all the conservatives meet here, all the liberals meet here. Who the fuck's how are you gonna fund that? How are you gonna feed
Because
that?
everyone,
It doesn't make
everyone
sense.
involved is going to be some variation of fascist. So it's gonna.
True. Fascists fighting each other. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not gonna.
Well, it's gonna be. It's,
Yeah. It's going to be like mega Nazis versus regular Nazis versus the ultra Nazis. There's going to be like just 5 different strains of Nazism fighting each other. That's because there is just no left. Like, and everything leans towards the right. So
I think it's probably just going to end up being a race war, and you know, to put it that way.
So?
I think that with how things are, with the long-standing contradictions of race relations in the U.S., I think that the Civil War will be divided along racial lines first.
Interesting.
And then there will be some gradations in between, like, okay, well, this white guy is like cool with us, you know, he can be on our side, and then there'll be some conservatives. They'll be like, okay, well, we have like one black guy who has like a really nice house and nice property, and we'll let him be part of our team.
You have to think about who's scared of who. Like, I think a lot of white
Yeah.
liberals who have like professional managerial class jobs will see other liberals who are to the left of them who have like blue hair or whatever and think, oh, I'm scared of that person because they actually want to take my shit that I currently have. Like, they opposed me when like shit was normal. They were too far left of me. They scared me with their politics back then. So if like that kind of person is armed, they will be antagonistic. They will like literally be the enemy of like the blue-haired leftists because they were antagonistic beforehand, and they will side with like the MAGA guy because they have more in common. Like both of the professional managerial class liberal and the MAGA hat guy want to get back to a state of normalcy, and just
They're the
like
same.
they just want to get back to like having their shit and being left alone, and they don't care how they get there, but they know who wants to take their shit from them, and they think it's like brown people and blue hairs. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never put much thought into like the whole helter skelter approach of things, but I will say that just off the top of my head, if I wanted to entertain the idea, I could see it from the sense of not necessarily like obviously, people in America are racist, but I don't see it in the sense of as soon as we start building a community, it's just we need to kick out all the black people. But I could see how, since it is going to be very community based and it's going to be proximity is going to kind of determine who those in your community are, just literally going to be based on proximity. Since America has already ghettoized so many areas and so many black communities are already black communities, yes, when the Civil War pops off, the first thing they're going to do is defend their own community, which is going to be largely black. And once they realize that their community is in the wrong part of town in terms of resources, you're certainly not fucking growing grain on a on like concrete, not God, I almost said on a basketball court, but not in that sense, just in the sense that they have concreted out like the entire area. So there's nowhere to farm. All of the actual residential property is going to be in areas that are owned by probably majority white. So I could definitely see how the communities could conflict just because they are now kind of at odds with each other based on resources and based on basically already racial proximity, communities that America as a racist system has already imposed on them. So I could see it from that angle.
Yeah.
The chat's popping off. So Sad Hello Kitty Core says, I was watching preppers on YouTube the other day, and this shit was frying me. It was from like 2009. Preppers are really funny because they have like they always prep for like all the wrong things. Like
a meteor.
Yeah. let's prepare for zombie invasion or whatever. Like Drain Mover says, it already is a race war though, as I understand it. Magic Hysteria Tour says the revolution in the U.S. will be started by a permanent discontinuation of the McRib. I swear to God. Partisan Johnny.
I'm with you, comrade.
Partisan Johnny says there's a big city-country divide, also with cities being heavily policed and unpropertied, also fully dependent on imports, and of course that is racialized due to segregation. I think he was like typing that as you were saying it, Sterling. And then somebody, Apple 22 says a civil war will be a clusterfuck, but front lines will emerge the army will fracture into areas of control around military bases. Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that.
That is true.
Absolutely. And they're gonna have to pick a side, and I think the cities will get abandoned by police because it's just going to be too dangerous for the police to stay in. And as a police force, you're going to want to take care of your families, which probably live in the residential areas. If I'm just working, in like Atlanta as a police officer, I probably don't make enough money to also live in a nice part of Atlanta. So I'm probably outside of the perimeter anyway. So that's going to be where my focus is. And as a cop who is trained basically as a military asset, that is your value to the community now. So you're going to provide for your family and make sure they have food based on that. You're not going to wait. Like they always say like, oh, well, the American government's going to, survive if anything comes off because they have all the cops and the soldiers. And I'm like, no, they have nothing. They have nothing. If shit pops off, the cops and sheriffs immediately are. You think they give a fuck what
they run into the same problem as billionaires with bodyguards in their bunkers?
Yeah.
How do you keep them under control?
Yeah, like even the military is going to be hard for them. Like they're mostly going to want to go back and protect their family when they find out like there's fucking civil wars popping off around their family and communities they care about. Like, bro, there's no more being AWOL. You don't go to jail for being AWOL. The jails are gonna be breaking loose. Like it's gonna get crazy. Like the government's done day one.
I think this is this conversation is definitely part of why I think it's important to read Settlers by Sakai, because he talks about how there were so many instances of like temporary alliances between white and black workers and like other colonized populations in the US. And he talks about how almost every single time that there was like a workers' revolution, or not revolution, like a workers' movement, or like a protests or strikes or whatever, it was the government having to concede and give like treats to white union workers and just throwing black people under the bus every single time. And I think that when we start to look at the black population and the indigenous population and the Asian population and like basically people of color, you know, to use that term, in America, it ends up being this like, you know, you can look at it as like a semi, you know, colonial relationship, internal colonial relationship between white settlers and their descendants going down 100 something years from the first people who started the fucking colonies to what it is now. And you know, that is going to start shifting around too with like borders with Mexico and like some of the states in South America and Latin America, because they're going to start forming solidarity with you know, the colonized populations in the US. And especially Florida has, I think, the highest like Filipino population in the country. Florida is, once you get south of like Jacksonville and
they're all
like
white nationalists, every single.
Oh no.
there's a lot of gray area, you know. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. And I think reading Settlers, if I had one reading recommendation for everyone to take home, Settlers is so good because of how much it is specifically about the American context, you know,
what's
and
so
it goes
funny?
all the way from Jamestown to today.
I remember.
I can't find my copy of it, but I had that an Indigenous Peoples History of the United States.
Oh,
That's another good one.
And one of the really interesting contradictions in that was how Indians would more often than not fight on the side of the Confederacy, because the Confederacy treated Indians better than the North did. Yeah, I'm not kidding. They were like, no, we'd rather deal with the Confederacy than
yeah, and that's the same sort of thing with like Israel playing certain groups of the Palestinian population against each other, right? You have the PLA, right? Not PLA, People's Liberation Army. You have the Palestinian Authority, being basically another comprador for the Israeli colonial control, right? The imperial control there, and they do the same thing that the colonies in the U.S. did to Indians and Native Americans and whatnot. They played them against each other. You know, you take some land, and then you have a tiny peace treaty, and then you sow discord here and there, and then they fight each other, and then you say, okay, well, we're going to take these scraps here, and so it just keeps pushing more and more white settlers further in. You know, that's another really good book, Jared. Indigenous People's History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. I have it right over here. That's a good one.
It's a great book.
It's crazy how many people, I remember back in the day when we had our old show, Sterling, how many people would talk about Settlers, not read it, even though like the URL is just readsettlers.org. It's right there if anybody wants to read it.
So easy.
And people would just call Jay Sakai a Fed. And I'm like, well, why are you calling him a Fed? Like, what is he saying that's like Fed-like or whatever? And they were just like, oh, he just says there's no revolutionary potential in the U.S. He says like all the white people are just like, they're just like basically on the side of imperialism, and they're never going to turn against their own government because they like the treats, the treat rights. It was literally the treat right discourse before that was a thing. And then it's literally also what happened to me when I started saying the same thing because of the genocide and the quote unquote American left's inability to affect that genocide in any way whatsoever, even though the Democrats were doing it. I was like, oh, this is actually really bad, you guys. This kind of spells doom for any kind of revolutionary potential the Western left thinks that it has if they can't even move the needle on the Democratic Party's genocide project one bit. That's actually really bad. And everybody's like, what the fuck, Mike? Why are you a Fed all of a sudden? It's like, what? I'm just saying what is going on. Why are you guys not updating your views with reality as it changes in real time? Like, it's kind of what we do here as Marxists. And they're like, whatever, bro, we got to go just do another mutual aid and protest with the PSL. Go do another protest and you'll feel better. I'm like, so it's about feeling better? That's what the protests are about then? Like, that's the problem, you guys. Like,
yeah, I think I definitely understand, because once I started talking about how veterans are shitty and I hate them, and
how they sudden, like,
yes, I've been called a Fed more times now than I have ever before. Suddenly I'm getting Fed jacketed.
Government.
What's that?
Because you don't like government employees?
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that someone gave me was like, so you don't want Marxists to have solidarity with each other and the proletariat to be united. So you're definitely trying to divide people, which means you're a Fed. And I'm like, that I'm not doing COINTELPRO, you fucking dumbass. Like, this is crazy.
They think the veterans are part of the proletariat.
Yes, a lot of people, and it's, I think it's centered in the fact that they just don't give a shit about the victims of U.S. imperialism. They don't care about the global South, that is like the international proletariat. They only care about American workers, and so they limit their socialism to national socialism.
Yeah.
If you catch my meaning.
I mean, they also legitimately think that it's going to be this kind of Hunger Games situation where the government drops the mask all at once, and like everybody kind of collectively realizes that government bad, billionaires bad, working people good, and that all the American soldiers are going to like take up arms with the people, and that they're going to do their revolution for them. Because that's, again, what leftists in America want. They want someone else to do the revolution for them. So they think it's going to be the soldiers who already have the guns and the training right now. And it's like, you are sorely mistaken. Like, so many of those people are going to turn against you because they've already been indoctrinated against the left. Most of the people who come out of the military and then hate the government because it wronged them, because it like permanently disabled them, traumatized them, and then took away their benefits to heal any of those things, they turn into libertarians. They turn into literal fascists. They turn into right-wing libertarians because their only idea of being anti-government is small government, like bullshit, like that we have all been combating for like decades now. Like, we've been trying to argue with the right libertarians to no avail. Like, it has had zero effect because those guys cannot learn. They're literal retards. Like,
they're also going to be the first that have like actual infighting involving killing each other.
Yeah.
You know, when shit hits the fan, as half of them say we've got to wait for our commands and protect the base, and the other half say I'm going to take this fucking tank to my hometown. And they're like, yeah, through my dead body. All these little micro fights are going to erupt, and it's going to be a bloodbath at first. Like, they're really not going to be as useful, at least not in the early days. Like, yeah, obviously you will have the surviving chapters that once they realize the government has actually fallen, they will make their way into the communities. But that's not phase one shit. Like, your phase one, you've got to be ready for. That's your actual proletariat. You know, as weird as it is, what show I think did a great job at showing what a civil war in the U.S. might actually look like, and that's the fucking first couple seasons of Walking Dead. Like, the way that they build those, yeah, right. The way that they build those little micro communities that they kind of make their own new government structure within, and they have to figure it out, and they have inner conflict, and they have conflict with other communities, is a really good example of how it'll actually play out.
And all the liberals are just zombies. It makes sense.
Let me some things in the chat. So Sad Hello Kitty Core said COVID blew the top off of things too. We normalized mass death over and over and over and over. Somebody else, Queer Communist, said protest equals group therapy. That's very true.
Which is okay. Like, I'm fine with it, like, from a realistic standpoint, and I'm also fine with it in the sense that it can radicalize people, and eventually, when shit does pop off, if all you have are some people that just have gained a little bit of knowledge along the way, if that's all protesting really did was at least have a few people open to the right ideas that maybe capitalism isn't what we should rebuild, like, yeah, that's fine. But don't go out there thinking you're making a fucking, like, difference tomorrow. Like, that's great.
Sterling, are you telling me the No Kings protest didn't do anything? How dare you?
The fucking psyop. Jesus. Where did it come from? Like, you,
just every single
like bro, every movement we have watched from the beginning, like even Black Lives Matter, you could see it from inception. This thing was bigger than Black Lives Matter in like a day. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's fucking ludicrous.
I love the motivation behind it, where it's like the No Kings protest. They're like, we don't like having kings. This country is an oligarchy. We need to be ruled by the bourgeoisie.
Bro, it's the triple arrow. It's the triple arrow because the fucking CIA wants the anarchists to forget that their symbol is the A. They want the anarchists to think it's the triple arrow because the triple arrow is anti-communist and it sows division on the left. So it's like they keep trying to implant this, and that's what the No Kings thing was. It's got to be a psyop. It's the same textbook. Like, if it reads the exact same fucking way.
It was funded by, at least in part, by like the Clinton Foundation and
Oh, then it's good. Oh shit, that's all you had to say, dog. That's all you had to say.
the Clinton and the heiress to Walmart, I believe, also funded it. It was a complete just fucking top down operation, man. What do you call that? What's the term for that?
I don't
No,
know,
just a
Epstein
psyop.
adjacent. I don't
Just
know.
a psyop.
Yeah, but what's the term? AstroTurfed. It's
Oh, yeah.
AstroTurfed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the chat, Apple, who also made that good point earlier about the military bases, they said the problem I have with your statements talking about how our saying that there's no revolutionary potential or the military won't be useful. He says that
Pre-water war.
gaining military support is vital, just like Lenin did with Brusilov. So I don't know that name well enough, but I'm assuming that's how it worked because I always thought it was like Trotsky was like his main guy running the military, but like
Trotsky was in charge of the Red Army. They built the Red Army. They built an army. They didn't go subjugate an army. You know, like you think
Yeah.
you're gonna pull up to the and no offense to this person, I'm sure they're far more intelligent than my dumbass. But you know, you can't just go. That has to happen afterwards. And if a civil war is popping off, like how do you think you're gonna walk up to a military base and say, hey, I know you guys kind of have your hands full. It seems like you're kind of killing each other and you're waiting on daddy's orders, but we got some extra cupcakes if you come back with us if you want to protect our shit. Like they're going to be involved. They will be important. I mean, members of the White Army left and joined the Red Army at certain points.
yeah.
But
that is true.
they're not going to make up like the Vanguard. Like the U.S.
definitely not.
military is not the Vanguard. You have to
The other
find
thing-
the Vanguard.
The other thing with the Russia that makes it different is they had just been through World War One, and the soldiers on the front line of World War One in Russia were just over it. They when the Red Army, when the Bolsheviks took over, most of them just deserted. Like they didn't form they didn't form like a new thing. Like some of them did later on as like the White Army, and a lot of them joined the Red Army. But the first reaction to the Bolsheviks taking over and World War One ending was the majority of the old Russian army just deserted and quit. They just walked away. You know, some of them stayed and their job was to sit on the front line, but they weren't really involved in anything. They were just sitting there doing nothing. The new borders of Russia, because they had to give up some land as part of the deal with Germany to exit the war. So they just moved back and stayed there. But a lot of them just left and just weren't involved. Like they would, it's not like American soldiers who are like actual like believers in the bullshit. Russian soldiers who fought for Russia were not motivated. They didn't believe in the Tsar at all. They were only fighting in World War One because you had
They
to.
were conscripted.
Like, yeah, they're all conscripts.
They were conscripts, and I think that fact alone changes so much of the dynamic that the proletariat can have with the military. The fact that in the
it would
US,
almost be better if we had a draft. You wouldn't get the people who are crazy enough to sign up.
Yes, exactly. Because in the US, everyone who joins the military basically just does it because they're like, yeah, I'm going to defend my country. And then they also
for that, but
but dude, if I mean that would accelerate things, I think, in some way. And I'm an accelerationist. Full stop. I think that things need to get worse.
I think as a revolutionary, you kind of have to be. But
Yes, and I think that the fact that most U.S. soldiers, and especially people like Greg Stoker, who join and then go on multiple tours and say, yes, I'm a veteran, I want good things for veterans, those people are not going to be on the side of the working class, no matter how much lip service they pay towards it, no matter how compatible they are, you know?
I forgot the whole reason I brought up Gluten Daddy earlier when I was insulting him and calling him a fucking fed and fascist. The reason that I say that is because the post he had a couple months ago was saying that if you don't support Graham Plattner, you're literally like a Palantir PSYOP bot employee because you don't want things to get better and you have no ability to let people redeem themselves or whatever. And I'm like, this is the guy who literally still has the Toten Cop fucking tattoo on his chest or whatever. It's like, it's a whole different animal. Like Greg Stoker and Graham Plattner are like same kind of bird, but like Graham Plattner is just the more mainstream shit-libbed, like even further right version of the Greg Stoker guy. Like at least Greg Stoker found some good politics and is openly against Israel and the genocide and has been like good on that. It's a shame that he's kind of used it for self-ambition and to promote his political career, but like he at least had the good takes in that time. Whereas Graham Plattner was still just a fucking standard Democrat. Literally doing the adult crash pointed out the term you might have been looking for earlier, talking about the No Kings was 50501. Kind of suspicious how fast they came up with that organization. It was so fully funded and everything. Sad Hello Kitty Core says the nonviolent protests of the 60s were supposed to prove the point of a point of like, quote, look, we follow the rules and the cops will turn the water cannons on. So you're supposed to learn from the peaceful protests that they don't work in the 60s.
Yeah.
And then Adult Crash also said, gotta love anarchists and their iron front logos on their battle jackets. And then Apple jumped in again and said the iron front retardation again with like the dead rose emoji. And then they also said, I agree, the morale collapse was crucial, talking about the Red Army and everything. The Ice March and the RVA came much later. You're right. I don't know what those things even are. I hadn't even heard of those. But but they also said, once again, thermostat theory is correct. I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and Adult Crash says Graham Plattner has 1919 tattooed too. So yeah, these are not the kind of people who are trying to redeem themselves. Like you are kind of just doing that self-delusion thing where you want the good things to happen, so you're willing to believe it, even though it's not really there. But
I like how Gluten Daddy is like, oh yeah, you're saying you don't want things to get better for Americans. It's like, yeah, I don't want Americans to have more treats. Do you want me to do you want Americans to be even more de-radicalized? Like that's what's all giving American. Let's use healthcare as an example. You guys get free healthcare. All that's going to do is placate the American population even more.
Mm-hmm.
Like the already non-existent.
They will literally like their government more.
Yeah, will become even more non-existent. These are just treats. And I can tell you from my experience as an Australian that like having free healthcare placates your population completely.
Imagine if Kamala Harris had ran on healthcare, right?
Yeah, she would have won.
Yeah, if she had, like even said she would embargo Israel a little bit, even if she had lied about it, people would have voted for her.
That's why I think they're saving free healthcare for you guys for when things get really bad. Because that's the reason why we got free healthcare was because they were afraid of the nascent communist movement in Australia back in the day, and that's why all the Western European countries got it, because they were afraid of communism. What did they do? They just gave them free healthcare, and then that was it. No more revolutionary potential.
Yeah, they're not afraid of that here. We'll never get free healthcare. I truly, with all three of my balls. The Chatters aren't going to get that one. we're down to 2 now, Chatters. Don't worry. I believe that even if Bernie got in office, he would pivot off of it. Mm-hmm. I think AOC would pivot off of it. I think anyone would pivot off of it, because the thing is, the actual ruling class, they have their treats and we have our treats. Healthcare starts to take their treats away. And if there's one thing they won't do is lose their treats. They'll let this motherfucker burn, and they'll let the government get overthrown and let a new government form that they'll still be in control of before they'll let you actually start dipping into their pockets heavy. And America just keeps going further and further towards that. So the idea of healthcare before like at least something somewhat revolutionary, you think a capitalist government that is letting the DSA openly join elections, like, quote unquote, democratic socialists get to be part of our government, and we're going to get free healthcare? Like, no, they're letting them take part in it so that's you guys got the healthcare. We get the democratic socialists. They just gave us the best thing next to it is, now maybe I'm not ready to give you healthcare, but let me give you these guys who will say that healthcare is good. That's what we get in America. We just get the essence of it. We get to smell it from the other room.
It's okay. All right, well, it's overrated. It's overrated anyway. We're gonna fucking lose it before I'm dead.
I can see both sides. I think I'm a fence sitter on this issue. I can definitely see both sides.
I'm going to move toward wrapping it up because I know it'll probably take us a couple minutes just to get there. Just catching up on the chat again. Sad Hello Kitty Core said, sorry, my comment sent before. Oh, no, sorry. They said, we haven't changed tactics since the 60s, and it was just supposed to prove a point that nonviolence isn't respected, so we should employ real resistance tactics. Yeah. And then Apple said, thermostat theory is exactly what you guys are saying. When it's 80 degrees, you thug it out. When it's 100, you get out of the chair. Yeah. That's
Gotcha.
material
Acceleration.
conditions.
Yeah.
Adult Crash said Americans are way too far gone. Decades of learned retardation. Yeah. I'm really glad that like the Treatler right discourse took off, because I started in like November, December 2023, right after the genocide started. I was like, this is really bad. And I started calling Americans irredeemable pig people. That was my term, because I couldn't.
Pig people.
I was not clever enough to come up with Treatler right, but somebody else did come up with Treatler right, and I'm so glad they did, because it does it better than I was able to do it. Like the memes are important. Like you got to get the terms right. So
I get the
Memes
perspective.
are ideological warfare, dude.
Me and you have already had conversations on this particular subject.
oh yeah, we've been talking about this for years. Like,
Yeah. I'm not sitting next to you on this one, but I get your perspective. I still am a firm believer in the working class and wanting to make things better for the working class. But yeah, I'm obviously not for performative liberal bullshit. But I will say, if I thought that someone was going to run and give us free health care, and I thought that, hell, if I thought there was even a chance of them coming through it, like I said, I don't even think Bernie would really do it. But not only would I vote for Bernie, I would advocate heavily for other people to vote for him. I would lib it up for that shit, because I do know people that would impact their life in a positive way. And if that's the only win that I get to see in my life, then fuck it, I'll take it. But I get your perspective too. That does mean that we prolong the better thing. But my thing is, I don't think the better thing happens until the water wars. So to me, the revolution happens exactly on the same date, no matter what we do from now till then, until they put, until all the water is toxic and I have a filter that says JP Morgan, and if I don't pay my membership, it gives me the green water. Until we get there, I don't think we get any fucking revolution.
So Sterling, what you're saying as accelerationists, we should skip straight to the water wars. So you heard it. Everyone, go get your car batteries.
Yeah, pollute
go get
the
your car
water.
batteries. Throw them into the nearest
Support
lake that
AI.
you see.
Not even, look, allegedly not even joking. Allegedly not even joking. That is the ultimate purified, distilled acceleration tactic.
Everyone
That's
clog your
how-
toilets now.
It's basically the Joker from Batman. He was just an acceleration.
I mean, it does kind of seem like AI was the thing that was invented to do that, to consume much more water and make the water wars happen sooner. Like,
No, that's Terminator, bro.
AI.
You said we're wrapping it up, bro. Why'd you just mention
Yeah.
AI?
Well,
No, I
we'll talk
mean-
about it next time.
yeah, but this is the whole thing. We got so many topics queued up. We didn't even get to half the shit we had queued up since the last time we recorded. So
Next time, I want
Um,
to talk about AI because it'll be good. Because I've been doing a lot of
Yeah.
research on AI lately. We should talk about it next time.
yeah, we'll save it. We'll do a nice teaser for that. But Sterling, it was so good to have you. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm glad you had the time. Like, I feel like people thought that there was some kind of like dramatic or like interpersonal drama that ended the old show, and it was really just that you were getting really busy with work. Like, you'd gotten like several new jobs and promotions and stuff. Ward, I think, moved like 3 times in the last year we were trying to record the show. Like, it was really crazy, and I didn't hold it against you guys. I just really had a hard time trying to wrangle you guys to like schedule the podcast episodes. It was very tough. Jared and Joseph will understand, like, it was tough to even wrangle them, and they were like not anywhere near as heavily employed at the time when we were doing like a second round of attempting to do a similar show. It just really is tough to kind of do that thing. So it was never anything like personal. I was never mad at you guys. I hope you guys were never mad at me, but you seem cool enough now. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there were some things there that we were disagreeing with, but to me that had really nothing to do with the grand scheme of things. That, like, me and you have always just been direct with each other. If there was something we disagreed with, hell, sometimes we talked about it live on air if we disagreed in some substantial way. But we always talked through those kind of things. At that point, yeah, I didn't like that one dude you were fucking with at that point.
oh, Chris Jeffries was the worst, man.
But there was a lot of things that just was not necessarily podcast. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still one of my favorite people I've ever known, and I do not hold anything that, I mean, it's weird even saying like hold anything against it, because it was just like normal friend shit, that probably just sounds extreme to people on the outside. Yeah, Chris dude sucked. I didn't want to be around that. And also, like the same reason that I'm not doing my YouTube channel, I'm just fucking lazy, bro.
Yeah, I've said so many times.
Yeah, I
like,
understand.
The only reason I worked with that guy at all was because he was just like, he's a machine. Like Chris Jeffries records, I think still every day. He streams all the time. It's not very good, and he has like 12 followers ever, but he does it. He's really consistent. And the way that ended, and I've rehashed it on here, but the short story is the way that it ended was because we were streaming together, and he's just an anarchist, and we kept coming up against the point of like
he's an eco-fascist.
He's also that, and he kept doing his like misanthropy, like anti-human but pro-animal, and like just like really kind of doomer shit. And I was like, bro, this is not getting anywhere. Like you don't have like a real ideology. Like you basically just are a tanky who doesn't admit that you actually know that state action is what gets things done.
He's
like,
a liberal, is what he fucking is.
Yeah, it was just he would have to be in a comfortable position of defending individualist actions and like consumer choice activism like veganism. And then when I would point out how it obviously hasn't had any effect on the meat industry overall, it's not revolutionary, it's not overturning things, he would get really mad. He'd ramble for hours after I left, and then he would get my YouTube channel like banned.
Bro, I dunked on that dude so hard, like I was surprised that he even continued to make content after. Like he popped off on the Discord, and you know how sometimes people just catch you on the right day. Like I've always been one that just didn't spend a lot of time in the Discord, and it was like that day.
You had some time off of work for like a week there.
He popped off, and I just had time for it, and I dog walked that guy, and it was like it started a whole thing, and I'm like, just stand behind your point. It's like he wanted to keep making a point, but he didn't have the balls to come out and say it. And it's like, I appreciate a Nazi who tells me he's a Nazi 100 times over more than someone who just keeps giving me the ideology but will never say the fucking words. Like, just say it with your fucking chest, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, if you're listening, you're still a bitch, and I'm still down to dunk on you any fucking
day. Agree. Hard agree. Yes, very much. All right. Well, this is very much
great
fun,
show, guys.
Does anybody want to plug anything before we wrap it?
Well, I've got the Instagram, YouTube, Marxist Analysis newsletter. It's same shit I'm always doing. Always doing this with you guys, so it's always a good time.
Let's do it again soon. Certainly, if you still have some time off of work, join us again. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Just keep in touch. I'll pop in here and there. This was a good time. And mainly, I just enjoyed catching up.
Yeah.
Same. Missed you, missed Jared, Joseph. I missed you too, even though I
missed you too, man.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
I hope your balls get better.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna wrap it up.